So today I'm going to talk to you about the themes of The Lord of the Flies. And this is a request from a Subscribe Star supporter of mine. Thank you very much for the support. So The Lord of the Flies is a novel written by William Golding from back in 1954. And it was adapted for cinema twice, with a 1963 version and a 1990 version. Now, generally speaking, the 1963 movie is considered superior, despite its lower budget, because it more closely follows the events of the book. The Lord of the Flies tells the story of a group of boys who get stranded on a deserted island after a plane crash, and they have to try to survive and get help. They develop some basic systems of government and authority. They initially do this by use of a conch shell. So anyone who blows into the shell, it's like a horn, they can speak and make decisions. In effect, the children develop their own sort of closed society, complete with its own hierarchy and structure. And they set out a basic agenda. So there's a leader, Ralph, and he gives the boys tasks to complete, including making a signal fire to help them get found, to hunt, and to build shelters. But their own childish fears begin to pull them apart. Some of them begin to suspect that the island might be home to some kind of beast, some kind of creature, monster. This leads to increasing levels of apprehension, distrust, and paranoia among the group, leading to one of the children being accidentally murdered. Schisms and fractures form before too long, as well as warring factions. The children's behavior, of course, wouldn't be out of place if it were all just a series of childish games that they were playing. But the problem is, it isn't. This is a real survival situation for them to deal with, and their actions have real serious life and death consequences. The film delves into concepts like the dangers of mob mentality and how civilization can collapse quite easily if certain environmental factors change, or if there's a shortage of food, for example. Civility can just disintegrate, and people can descend into barbarism and savagery pretty quickly when the rule of law isn't respected. Moreover, that rule of law requires buy-in from the population, and if enough people don't accept it or lack the ability to agree and consent to the rules and structures, and they don't even understand why the rules and structures are there in the first place, it doesn't matter what the laws are. They will be broken eventually, and physical violence will become inevitable. And then, to deal with it, oppressive physical force by the state will be required to maintain a system of order, to bring order from chaos. And it's no different in this sort of mini-human society, right? So it's like watching a sort of survival experiment play out in real time on this island. The leader becomes more authoritarian and brutal, and the cohesion of the camp breaks down and seeds of distrust are sown. So all of the worst aspects of this small human society are on display in the story and are only worsened by the fact that children are in charge. The story also shows us how humans can be prone to developing superstitions and magical thinking. And with children, there's no subtlety, there's no subtext or subterfuge. They're naively direct, they're short-sighted and impulsive when compared to adults, and they lack the maturity to make informed and well-thought-out decisions. So you get this accelerated societal collapse within short order. And children, of course, they can't really evaluate their own actions. And they can't sort of reevaluate what they did and how to improve upon it. So it's obviously going to be a disaster before too long. Children aren't wise. So that goes without saying. They're often idealistic. Their worldview is obviously very simple and incomplete. So there's no nuance there. So they're more likely to leap before they look. And to judge too quickly and act irrationally and emotionally. So this, again, all the ingredients for a disaster. And the tragic conclusion of the story only underlines how vital it is for children to have strong parental figures and guidance in their lives. The worst aspects of man's nature becomes revealed when the situation becomes desperate enough. Civilization needs to be maintained on an ongoing basis, and this can only happen if there's a set of shared values and understanding among the populace. You're not going to get that from children, obviously. So anyway, a veneer of civility is never enough. But the most heartbreaking aspect of the story is what these terrible experiences do to the children, the decisions that they're forced to make and how they shape them. So how they wind up and the condition they're in by the end of the story. They're forced to grow up quickly and make decisions that no child should ever have to make. As a result, they lose their innocence and they can never go back to being the same again, having been reduced to violent savages. Their small, short-lived community is destroyed by their reversion to a primitive, baseless human nature. I suppose you could also look at the story as a kind of an example of what happens when a population cannot understand the concept and importance of social trust, and where there's a lack of shared values and morals and principles. It becomes a sort of race to the bottom in terms of behavior. So those are my thoughts on The Lord of the Flies. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.